Hey, it's Mike over at fishyourassoff.com, and today what we're talking about is catching speckled trout with live shrimp. So speckled trout fishing with live shrimp. It's hard to beat a live shrimp if you want to catch a bunch of speckled trout. I mean, shrimp catch everything, you know. I'm a kayak fishing guide here on the Treasure Coast of Florida. I have a Fab 5 that I'm fishing for 98-9% of the time. Snook, tarpon, speckled trout, redfish, flounder. Live shrimp catches all of those fish. So it's a really good bait to have. If you can only pick one live bait, that's probably the one you want to pick to go out and hit the flats with. But people have questions. You know, a lot of people hook them wrong and kill the shrimp, and you know, there's a lot of, I guess, intricacies about fishing with live shrimp for speckled trout that I just want to talk about here. Okay, so here's a great way if the trout are on the bottom. So say you're in an oyster bar type of thing, a tidal creek or something like that. You know, a lot of times if the water's shallow, like 3 or 4 feet deep, those trout may be more focused on the bottom part of the water column. Now, normally they're in the middle to upper part, but sometimes they're in the bottom, so you got to sink your shrimp. So here's a great way. This is, you know, I know I'm not Michelangelo here, but you know, here's a shrimp. It's hooked up from its belly up, so the point is on top, so it's more weedless, because the shrimp is going to try to stay like it normally would, right? So you got to have the hook point pointing up with a split shot, and the way you fish this is you just pitch it up current and just kind of keep it off the bottom. Just go about the same speed as the current and let those trout just pick it right up off the bottom. So that's gosh, I bet I've caught more trout this way than any other way, in fact, you know, off the bottom like that. When you're also fishing them, just say you're sight fishing or something like that. Now this one, I drew its little brain. You know, inside of a shrimp, there's a little dark spot right behind the horn. You know, their eyes, behind the horn and the eyes. And that's their brain. And I see so many people just put a hook right through it. Well, why'd you bother buying live shrimp? Because now you got a dead shrimp. So that's what this is showing you, is hook in front of that dark spot in the horn, you know, where the eye is and everything like that. On the shrimp, you gotta miss that dark spot, or you have a dead shrimp, right? So don't do that. One of the best ways and easiest ways, like I said, I'm a kayak fishing guy, and a lot of times the people I have out there are very novice. You know, they can barely cast, right? You know, so I want an easy way for them to catch fish. This is why this is a good way if you want to teach someone new how to fish, or kids or something like that, is just hook them up with one of these popping corks. It's goofy looking for sure. It's just this right here, right? And you just tie your shrimp to the bottom of it. So I got a little fake shrimp right here. Let's say this fake shrimp's tied to the bottom of it, and all you gotta do is boop, boop in the water. So this right here attracts the trout, and the trout like, what is that? And they come on over and they go, oh, look, a delicious shrimp. I think I'm gonna eat that. So this is one of the easiest ways to catch trout. And redfish, and black drum, and snook. I mean, they'll all hit this if you're in the right environment for them. But I'm telling you right here, this is one of the easiest ways to catch trout. Got a rattle cord. Now, different times you need different corks. You know, sometimes, here's another one. See the concave top, but I don't know if you can hear that. It's got little BBs or something inside of it. So it makes those low frequency noises that these fish just love. And sometimes you gotta be real subtle and have a lower, you know, be less noisy, I guess, and a more stealthy presentation. And then you want a smaller type of bobber right here. So these rattle corks and stuff. So it just depends, you know, so you probably want a couple different kinds, but it's just one of the easiest techniques because they're easy to cast. So you get them casted out there, and there's no like technique. You know, if you're jig fishing, you're like, you got to do all these different things, bounce it off the bottom or swim it just right. There's real technique involved. When you're fishing with one of those popping corks, you throw it out there and go pop, pop. And if you're drifting, you don't have to reel because the cork's probably moving the same speed as your boat. So if anything, you just reel in the slack if you get any. So it's like pop, pop. You drink your beer and you talk and eat a donut and pop, pop. I mean, it is really that simple. I mean, it's one of the easiest ways that there is to fish, especially, well, you could be a pro too. I'm saying it's an excellent way to catch fish, but it's great for newbies, these people that just can't cast and they really don't get the rod tip action and getting the retrieve just right. It's just one of those easiest ways you can fish. I'm telling you, it really is. So here's the areas you want to focus on. There's basically structure and predators go together very well. So if you find docks, you're probably going to find snook, depending on what part of the country you're in. Flounder, speckled trout, black drum, redfish, right? They're going to be up in there, and this is a great way to fish them. Right here's a great way to fish them. Here's another way I didn't cover. You can take a jig if you really want to bounce the bottom, like say you need a little more weight or something and want to bounce the bottom. You just take your jig head and hook it the same way you did this one, hook it up, and you fish a live shrimp just like it's a jig. But it's better than a jig because it smells exactly like a live shrimp. So you do it, and you just kind of bounce it on the bottom. And that's going to catch you redfish and flounder and sea trout where they're focused on the bottom, and black drum. I might catch a snook depending on where you are. So this is another one for fishing that bottom part of the water column. Oyster bars. Anytime you have a couple oyster bars and there's a cut in between them, you got to fish that. I mean, it just funnels the fish right through to you. Mangroves. Mangroves are another one. Now, if I was mangrove fishing, I'd probably be sight fishing. If I was doing that. And then I would have one probably either hook like this or hook like this, depending on how I need to cast it and how close I could. Because what you'll find is during the higher parts of the tide, the snook and the redfish really like cruising through those mangrove roots. The big speckled trout will cruise through those mangrove roots. The big flounder will cruise through those mangrove roots. So it's a great place to sight fish with a live shrimp. So you might see a big speckled trout there, boom, just pitch it in front of it. You see it cruising the thing with the tide, and you don't really have to do anything. The shrimp's like, right in front of it, so you don't have to move it, you don't have to do anything with it. And a lot of times you got a fish. So it's a real good choice for sight fishing the mangroves at the higher parts of the tide. Mud flats, again, you want some sort of a cut to fish that. Tidal creeks, same deal. Tidal creeks often in a couple sandbars that have a cut or just something. There's almost always some sort of funnel that's going to get the fish to you. And the grass flats. All right, well, grass flats are where the trout are, right? They are grass flat species. All these other places have to be adjacent or pretty close to grass flats, or there's probably not going to be any trout there. Trout need grass flats. That's why trout numbers have dropped so much here around Florida, because our grass flats are dying. All this runoff and all these different things are ruining our grass flats, basically. And they need them. So when you're fishing these grass flats, there's always going to be some bold spots. They're going to be these sandy potholes, right? And snook and trout and reds and flounder love using that as an ambush point, right? So they'll be in there waiting for the current to bring them shrimp, little fish, whatever. Well, guess what? You're going to deliver them a shrimp. What's so great, right? That's what they want. You're going to give it to them. So you see a sandy pothole, you got two choices. If you can cast your shrimp far enough to get it up current and have it come through the sandy pothole, great, do that. If not, you're coming from the other way. You're going to be coming from up current, and you can let the tide bring your shrimp down to it. And this is another time when you might want to use a bobber. You don't necessarily need to pop it, but you just want to have it come in where it's just above the grass, so it's not getting hung up in the grass, so your leader has to be whatever length, and just get that shrimp to come right down through the strike zone for those fish that are waiting there for them. It's another excellent way to catch, well, you can catch the whole Fat Five there, basically. So, yeah, it's just a great spot. It's just an excellent ambush point for predators, and especially live shrimp. Live shrimp catch everything. So live shrimp are something you should fish with if you want to catch a bunch of fish. That's what I'm saying. Go to our website, www.fishyourassoff.com. And the whole site is a how-to fishing website. So you have articles and videos like this and all about how to catch all of these different fish. But I think I covered everything I wanted to cover for today. So until next time, we'll see you then. All right, bye-bye.